What's up, everyone? I'm Dan, aka Stark Evil Vash, and with my co-host Pagan, aka Pagan Plays, and this is the Replayer Podcast.
Hi.
Hello, joining us this
Hello.
week. Hello, joining us this week. We have our guest Michael and Emmanuel. What's up, guys?
How's it going?
Thank you for having
Yay.
us.
Hello, everybody.
Yay! Go back, Pagan. Yay!
Yay,
Throwback.
Michael. Yay, Emmanuel. Yeah. This
No
is
one
a
will
thing
get
we
that
did
joke.
ages ago. No one will get that joke.
I don't get
Those
it.
diehards will. Those one or two people that actually listen.
I don't get it. There was a time back in the day whenever we introduced our guest, Pagan would go, "Yay, whoever! Yay, this other person."
Yeah, I don't know. It was a thing. I was genuinely very excited for people, and then as I've gotten more weathered, I'm just
Weather.
like,
Hey, guys.
God, guess. Just kidding. Pleasure
As
to have
you
you on
got
the show, guys. Pleasure
weathered.
to have you on the show. Yeah.
Anyways, welcome to the show, guys. Happy to have you on here. What we'd like to do here is get to know our replayers. We have a few questions we're going to ask just to get to know you a little better, and then we're going to move on talking about this week's episodes of Retro Replay. So, to get us started, our first question is, what was your first introduction to gaming? And I'll start with Emmanuel.
Ooh, loaded question. No.
Loaded.
My faintest memory for gaming was it was an old Famicom that I've had. I was born in the Philippines, so we didn't have the NES. We had the Famicom. So we had that console, and all I remember from it is I broke it because I got too immersed on a game of pole position,
Oh, no.
and I dropped it so much times that it broke. And that's the only memory that I have young. But later on, when I got the Sony PlayStation, I started playing Crash Bandicoot and Crash Bandicoot 2, and I was immediately hooked.
Nice.
And I've been a Sony player for a while, but then the Xbox came around, and one title that kind of struck at me was Half-Life 2. And Half-Life 2 has been, I mean, it's on PC, but it came on console. But I spent so many hours on there. I had many late nights just playing that title, and it's immersive because I've never seen a shooter like that. And you usually see like Medal of Honor where there's a level and then cutscene and then level and then cutscene, and Half-Life 2. It combined all of that into one, and you're in that level talking with those people.
What that game is really well known for is that there's no cutscenes.
Yes,
right?
It's straight up.
Like, everything is delivered to you like in the moment.
Yes.
Have you played Black Mesa?
Yes.
Oh, okay, cool.
That takes me back to it, and I had a PC that I used for a while, and I started playing that on max settings. It's like it's immense. It's nice. Glorious to see. So,
all right. Well, before you answer all of my questions, before I get to them, I'm gonna throw it over to Michael.
Oops.
You're fine. Good answer though.
Yeah, really good answer. I didn't know what a Famicom was. I just had to look it up.
Oh.
It's like the
I'm that naive.
The foreign NES.
Yeah, it's some sort of, well, I don't.
Well, it's like how they have the Mega Drive. Like there's the Sega Mega Drive and there's the Sega Genesis.
Yeah.
The Famicom is like the NES alternate name for Famicom or Famicom into NES.
But it's not the NES, right?
It is.
It is and it isn't.
It is an NES?
It's funny. Anyways. How did you get into the gaming, Michael?
My dad, actually, when I was younger, had an NES, and he would keep up with he would keep up with it, as you know, like it started with the NES and then the SNES, and then when PlayStation came out, my uncle actually bought me one of those for Christmas when I was 5.
Wow.
So
nice.
But yeah, it all started with my dad. He's still is a pretty into gaming, and he'll see a trailer for a game and call me, "Did you see that?"
Oh man, that's pretty awesome.
Because really cool. That's really
I would never know what that feels like, so that's pretty cool.
You know, it's he'll call me all excited about a trailer. It's like, "No, I didn't see that." Well, why not? Because Xbox exclusive, and I play PlayStation.
Ooh.
So
like butting heads at that point.
No.
Well, I mean, we've gotten into debates about that, but
I'm going to throw it right in there then, because you guys have already started to touch on it. What's your preferred platform to play on nowadays?
PlayStation.
Oh man, that's
another
tough.
one for me.
This is tough. I grew up with PlayStation, but I've had fondness for Xbox for a while, so I'm like 49% Xbox. So 51%.
49%?
Yeah.
It's all about that
So
1%.
so mostly
Yeah.
PlayStation.
You got it. You got it.
Tick.
Right,
Yeah.
and that's the point of the question is, if you had both consoles, which one do you tend to play more? Like, I'm the one in the minority here that tends to be more of an Xbox player.
Is this because I don't know, is this because of the games that are on PlayStation? Like if those PlayStation exclusives were available on Xbox, would you just play that? Would you play it on Xbox? Michael and I are like, no.
No,
Well,
Not
I
at
see.
all.
I would
like-
100% do that. Like, if the PlayStation exclusives were available on
Yeah.
Xbox, I would never even look at the PlayStation.
I mean, like.
Anyway,
See, I don't know. I've always said that I would own an Xbox if it was gifted.
Hmm.
I'm not going to go spend my
You're not
money
gonna
on it,
spend
but if
money on
someone
it.
wanted to give it to me, I'd take it.
yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
I hear that.
And I made the switch to Xbox because of Game Pass,
Nice.
and I have both
be fair, that's a-
consoles.
Yeah.
I have both consoles
Good one.
just because of that.
PlayStation Plus.
Well, here's the thing I think is interesting as far
PlayStation
as
Plus
the
does not compare, Michael. I'm sorry. Like
the PlayStation
I am a
Plus is just the
PlayStation
online
diehard.
service.
Yeah,
Well,
like
it comes with
well,
2 free
the
games a month.
Edition now.
2. Xbox is 4.
But they're
Every
good. They're
month.
good games.
No, they're not.
They are good
They're
games. I would
rarely good
agree.
games.
I just think that
Rarely.
I
think
got
PlayStation
Uncharted
Plus
4.
and PlayStation Now do not compare to Xbox Game Pass. They just don't.
Yeah, Game Pass is phenomenal.
Traitor.
Like deals.
And I'm
Yeah.
like PlayStation diehard here, but like, yeah, they just don't. I think like PlayStation needs to get their shit together and
Guess what
want that
game
kind of
we got
service
for free
us.
from PlayStation last month? Farming Simulator. Oh
We got-
joy!
we
I
got
love
Goat
that. I
Simulator.
think the majority likes that. I love that game. It's literally like it's a time killer. Like one time, I was harvesting.
I want to play.
So it's
so
like
fun.
Stardew Valley, but realistic. You're just farming.
I'm interested.
Yep.
Maybe Farming Simulator is the reason why I don't get any Farmville requests on Facebook
Yeah, like
anymore.
hello, Farmville. Did anybody remember Farmville on Facebook? I was hooked
Right.
on that in college. Like I was hooked on it.
I used to
So
play.
if Farming Simulator is anything like Farmville, sign me the heck up.
You better check it out then.
I used to
check
play
it out.
the infamous Anarchy on Facebook for the
Oh,
whole
Really?
4
wow.
months that
I
ran.
don't think I
I
ever
haven't
played
seen
that.
that
I
title in a
know
long
that.
time. That was a long time ago.
Well, then the next question I have for you both is, do you have a favorite game? And I know that's a tough ass question. So if you want to kind of give us like a few examples or a franchise, understandable. Because I sure as shit can't answer a favorite game.
Ooh. Okay.
What is that? Ooh, can we take guesses? Is it Skyrim? Is it Bloodborne? Is
Nope.
it I'm
I'm
saying
loving
stuff
these
that I don't
guesses.
actually know.
What is
I've
that?
never played them.
I thought you were pointing.
I don't
Yeah, I don't know.
recognize that.
Is
It
it Assassin's
is-
Creed? Is
Nope.
it Ratchet and Clank? Is it The Last of Us?
Are you just
Is it-
reading a list right now?
No, I'm just pulling the shit out of my head. Like I don't know. I don't know where that's from. Are you kidding me?
So
I
many
suck
people are
at
going to
games.
add us now.
Hello.
Like, how do you not know what that is?
Probably.
I
Here,
would go.
Ah, is
Eh.
it something cool?
you
Oh,
guess
man.
mine.
I don't get any of them. All right, go ahead, Michael. What is it? Put me out of my
That-
misery.
is the symbol that runs on the opening credits for the original Final Fantasy VII.
Hey, is it Final Fantasy VII?
Ah.
Got it in one
I
try.
was
It
about to
is.
say like Kingdom Hearts.
First try. Nice.
Chrono
I have
I
another
was gonna
one.
start listing Final Fantasies had like Dan not called me out on where I'm pulling out my stuff from. I would have been like Final Fantasy 1, Final Fantasy 2, Final Fantasy 3. Only because I don't know what fucking number they start at. I'm just gonna start number 1 and just
I'm-
see.
I'm really hoping that this one is not as unknown.
I
Yeah,
can't quite see that.
that's the
Detective Pikachu.
Foxhound symbol. That's Foxhound.
Oh, I see it now. I actually see it now. Sorry,
Yeah.
I couldn't see it before. Is that Metal Gear?
Yeah,
Metal
Yeah.
Gear.
Metal Gear Solid.
I
Yeah.
thought it was Detective Pikachu.
That's on the other side, but it's
Shit.
Now, if you did listen to our podcast, you would know that I'm a Metal Gear fan, and we have made many, many Metal Gear references.
Many, many, many.
awesome.
I feel like everybody is a fan except I feel like I don't think I've ever come across such a diehard fan as Bethany. Remember Bethany was
Oh,
on? Bethany
right. Like
Rodriguez?
Bethany is a huge.
Like holy
Gear fan.
crap, she's a huge Metal Gear fan, and I was not expecting that. So
She
shout out to
cosplay as Meryl.
Because of
who
Bethany,
hosts
I had to edit in a moment in the video of the podcast where like I forget what the thing was, but I put in like the game over screen from Metal Gear and like the screen zooming in on my face because I was just like,
Yeah, I
could
think
you?
it's like
there's something to do with Bethany.
She's diehard. She's diehard fan. But check out her
Shout
shit.
out.
It's the What Else Show
Yeah,
on
she's
YouTube.
got her
Check
own
it out.
show.
Yeah, we got a shout out there.
So Emmanuel,
What about you, Emmanuel?
I kind of gave it away already. Like I mentioned before, Half-Life 2 has been it imprinted on me for a while for shooters, and it's a bar none standard for shooters for me.
Imprinted.
And it's a fun title, but for just for the immersion, but also like just fooling around with the gravity gun. That's like the greatest gadget in gaming, and just being able to use a box as a weapon at an enemy when you run out of ammo, or just like throwing fetch with the robot dog that's in the game. And like all of these uses were really groundbreaking when I played it. So with Half-Life 2, like that pretty much is my favorite game, and it still is.
Nice.
Oh, okay, cool. Did you get the remastered version when it came out? Is that actually the remastered version, or if it's just a different version of Half-Life 2?
Are you talking about
Is
Black
the second
Mesa?
part of it?
Or
Yeah, Black
Half-Life
Mesa.
2?
No, Alex?
Oh, Alex is a whole new game.
Oh,
Is it a whole new game?
Yeah.
That's a VR. This is the VR. I tried it for a while, and it was dizzying. But like seeing the VR controls on there and using your fingers to reload the weapon and just start reloading your weapon, it's like, whoa, this is it's immersive. And it did go back to my Half-Life 2 days where it's like, oh, you can use this for pretty much anything. So like Alex is really fun to play, but it's very taxing on the PC.
Yeah, I've heard Alex has basically set the standard now for what makes a good VR game, and all other VR games should follow suit to that, essentially.
Please be Half-Life 3.
Yeah, right? Please. All right, so moving right on to the next question is, do you guys have a game you'd like to see played on Retro Replay proper, like when they're on the couch, back in the studio after quarantine? You know, what we would normally expect from an episode of Retro Replay as far as like a retro game for the most part. I mean, they've been playing PS2, so whatever you think of as retro at this point.
I mean, that's kind of retro now.
Oh yeah, PS2 is definitely retro now.
We're pretty.
It hurts. That
I know, it
hurts.
does hurt.
Yeah, it's a sting that we all got to take, Michael. I'm sorry.
We're too old for this.
So anything you'd like to see on the show for the guys to play?
Legend of Dragoon.
Oh, good one. Good one. Hot
okay.
take. I like it.
Yeah, really cool. What is it?
What? Legend of Dragoon is probably one of the
Google.
best PS1 RPGs ever made, next to Final Fantasy VII.
Really?
It's the only one that was made in Japan that sold better in America.
I have that game. It's there. It's good.
Yeah, I've got it. Yeah.
Okay,
I'm
cool.
just gonna wait for Pagan to read the summary on the Google page. Hang on.
I've read it. I can see the photos and the pretty pictures. I can see. Now I understand what you're talking about, and I have reference. It's basically like Final Fantasy.
I'd like to either see them play Legend of Dragoon or Tekken.
Ooh.
I
like
would
Tekken
love
2.
to see them play Tekken. I think that's a great multiplayer game as well for whatever guests they're gonna have on. Like that's always gonna be a good time because Tekken's great.
It's been a while since they've played a good like a fighter game too, and the fighter games always seem to have good aesthetics and good appeal for when they actually battle, and especially like what Pagan said, when they bring on a guest. And if you get somebody that's competitive that wants to like take on Nolan in a game of Tekken, that could be some fun times right there. Did you have anything in mind, cool. Emmanuel?
That's tough. I'm not sure. I have to re-watch the catalog, but Sonic Spinball.
Okay, yeah, they haven't played that.
They haven't
Sonic
played
Spinball. That playing that title a long time ago. I played it on an emulator, and it's infuriating how that game is. It's basically Get Good before it even became a thing.
I could easily see Nolan rage quitting Sonic Spinball. I had it on the Game Gear actually.
The Game Gear. My dad had one of those.
Game Gear.
Yeah.
I actually have heard of that one.
I know that. It's a handheld Genesis.
Oh yes, yeah, I do know.
So,
I haven't had it, but I do know it.
It's fun, but once you get through the frustrating parts, it's like it's a fun title, but there's a lot of a lot of a learning curve to get through it, but it's literally frustrating, but it gets fun as you learn the mechanics as slow as it can be.
Yeah, and for like a digital, pinball game, I still remember how frustrating that was, and like falling to your death, and it had like those, like, kind of like the drowning sound in Sonic, but like there was those noises that the game made when you know you're doomed, and you're just like, oh god, like
Just put it down and let it happen.
yeah,
It's like, just do it, just do it.
yeah. Sonic Spinball was an interesting game that I think would be fun to see attempted. I don't know how far anyone would get playing it though. Does it even have more than one level? I don't even remember. I just remember dying.
That's pretty much everyone remembers that way. I think there's like 2 or 3, if I recall. There's 2 or 3 levels on that, but it's like basically like a pinball machine for each of those levels.
Okay, so a separate pinball machine for
I think
each
so,
one.
but-
Okay, cool. All
Yeah,
right.
that might be a really good one or a really interesting one to play. I don't think they've ever played in any of that kind of game before.
Yeah, that's a good point too. That I don't think they've played anything even remotely similar.
Yeah, I mean they've played a Sonic game before, but
True.
they've never played anything.
And we all know
similar
how
to
that
kind of
went
style game.
with Nolan trying to like jump up the hill that he couldn't get
It
up.
just
Nolan.
sends you backwards.
Hey.
Yeah.
At least it was entertaining.
Entertaining.
That's the point.
Yeah, well, yeah.
All right, so I got one more question for you guys that I want to throw out there too. Is if there's any games that you personally are looking forward to. Noted that this recording is happening mere days after The Last of Us 2 released. I'm sure everybody's hankering to play that, but this is more beyond that. Like, what is still to come that you're looking forward to?
Cyberpunk.
Of course.
I was gonna say the
Yes.
same
Cyberpunk.
thing.
Even with the
That's
what-
delays.
It has been delayed. Yeah,
Again.
did they get delayed
lot.
till August? The end of
November.
August or something, right?
November.
Oh, November. Sorry.
When was it
So-
supposed to come out?
I think it was
September.
originally supposed to come out in May, and
Yeah,
then
I
got
feel like it was supposed to
delayed
be
to
beginning of the year
September,
Mhm.
and then now got
That's
delayed
right.
again.
to November. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
another
that's right, that's right.
Revengeance.
Oh no. But yeah, definitely
Um,
Cyberpunk's a good one. Really excited for
Yeah.
that. How about you, Michael?
7 years of like announcements and all these moves, and it's like
I
it's
know.
finally happening, and then this delay happened.
Nope, not yet.
It can't be rushed, but it hurts. It
Yeah.
hurts
Yeah.
so
You
much.
can't rush beauty like that.
No,
Artistic
you
vision.
really can't. You kind of want the games to be perfect as well. I feel like we all felt this way about The Last of Us 2.
Right. You want them to
The
take
Last
their
of Us
time
also.
as well.
Yeah, as well. The Last of Us 2 too. The Last of Us 2 as well.
True.
Yeah, so I feel like we all were kind of like, yeah, okay, do whatever you need to do because we want to play a really good game, and if it has any fuck ups, you're going to be slaughtered basically because you're going to be held up on a platter and be like, okay, well, this is going to be
Yeah.
an amazing game ever, and then there starts to be glitches or something happens, and you're just like, well, that's crap. So I feel like if they need to take their time to do whatever they need to do it. It's okay.
It should
we
be
gonna wait.
fine as long
It's
as the game
fine.
doesn't go into development hell like Duke Nukem or something, which was in development for 7 years and was still trash.
I wonder if could have people made pre-orders and everything for that game yet or anything or would
Oh,
it
yeah.
need to have a definitive date? Because I'm wondering now, right? I want to just think about this because it relates to my own life. Is when something happens in my work and an item is coming from a supplier and it gets delayed for whatever reason, processing delay, it's out of stock or whatever, and has to be pushed back a month. You know how many phone calls we get
Mm.
being like, "Oh, my item, I paid for it. You were happy to take my money, etc., etc." And you're like, I wonder if the company actually get those calls. I wonder if there's somebody who's doing with customer service, being like, "Hey, I put a pre-order in this because it was going to come out in September, and then," but I suppose they can cancel, so I don't know.
I picture the Karen who is the mother of a small child, like, I put in a pre-order for my son, and I was supposed to come out
Yeah.
on this date, and I want my money back, and
yeah. I want something for this. What are you going to do for me?
Yeah,
And they're like,
give
make a
me-
really good game.
like, give me something because I gave you money that you haven't gotten yet because of
Yeah.
this product that you haven't finished yet.
Yeah, they don't think about
Yeah,
the
I
process.
just thought about it in my head. I feel like, can you imagine people actually calling up a games company being like, "Why are you delayed? Get my stuff out as soon as possible." Like, because that's what we get. So I'm just thinking, surely that has to happen for them too.
So I wanted to throw a wrench in the mix. Haha, here comes a pun. Ratchet and Clank was recently announced
Yeah.
for the PS5,
Yes.
and I am very excited for that because I'm a huge Ratchet and Clank fan. And up until we got the PlayStation 5 event, I've had my games that I've talked about or the games that I've been excited for, but that's something new that I didn't know about until this past week, and I'm so happy for it because I'm a huge Ratchet and Clank fan. Is there anything else besides the what was not known quantities before last week, essentially?
Demon Souls remastered finally
Mm.
happened, and I've played that on the PS3 for a bit, and it was infuriating as it says it is. But
Yeah.
seeing the remastered with all the graphical detail that's done on the bosses, especially there's the Dragon God, which is like one of the bigger bosses in the title, and when it
Hmm.
started roaring, I literally just like I freaked out.
You get
I
like
was
the goose
fanboying for 2
pimples.
seconds. Oh yes, yes. So it's been a while since we saw anything with From Software since Sekiro, but
Yeah.
since it's done with Blue Point and with Sony Studio Japan, and it'll be in great hands once production is already finished. So, but we'll see how it goes. But Demon Souls kind of like took me by surprise with their remaster on the PS5.
I've been hearing rumors about that for a while, so I was pretty happy to see it confirmed too for that because I played a lot of Demon Souls on the PS3 way back when. Michael, is there anything you're looking forward to coming up?
Um, there's something that's been rumored that I'm hoping is actually
Okay.
true. It's
Ooh.
Legend of Dragoon.
Ooh.
No way.
Yeah,
Really?
Yeah.
didn't they say Blue Point might be making that?
Yeah, and if
What?
they are,
Oh, okay.
I am way too excited because Blue Point
Mm.
has done amazing so far.
Because they also did Shadow of Colossus and
They did Shadow of Colossus, and they did an MMO RPG that a lot of people actually probably haven't heard of. It's Terra.
okay. Yeah, I've heard of Terra.
They did the console port for it.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
So
Alright.
it was
Nice.
If it turns out to be true,
Yeah, that's
I
definitely
might actually give up Final Fantasy VII remake for that one.
It's definitely one of those Sony
What?
properties that's like, Sony, you need to do something with this.
Yeah.
Like, why haven't you done anything already with it? What about you,
That'd be
Pagan?
cool. Okay, firstly, I was really excited to see the Spider-Man announcement from PlayStation event. I was like, yes. Okay, I was so excited about that. I thought that was like one of the best things that they've announced. But I also think the two games that looked really interesting to me was Kena
Yeah.
and is it the devil inside or little
Like
devil
the
inside?
little devil inside you or the devil
Yeah,
inside? Yeah, I know what you're
something
talking
like
about.
that. I'll find out the name. But that looked really good. Little Devil Inside by
Mhm.
NeoStream Interactive, and Kena is Ember Lab. Bridge of Spirits. Sorry, the Kena Bridge of Spirits. I thought that looked really, really interesting. Kena Bridge of Spirits really looked nice and colorful, a really interesting game. And then Little Devil Inside had such a cool, stylized way about it. I just thought that looked really
That
interesting.
reminded
and
me of something, and I can't remember what it is now. I'll have to look into that. The style of
it
it.
looked like really good humor, and I
Mm.
think someone dropped a bomb or something like that, and then it like cut to him sitting on the toilet. and I was like, that is amazing.
Ooh.
I love this humor. It's fantastic. Deathloop also looks really good.
Mm.
So those are kind of like the three that I took away from it and was like, "Ooh, that's cool." Obviously Resi 8 was announced, which was awesome, but
I'm really
obviously
excited
I'm
about.
like,
Village.
You're like,
Um,
that's not a Pagan game.
Nope.
I haven't played a Resident Evil game since
Right?
Nemesis.
And I was
the
like,
ori-
this kind of looks like a scary game. And then I think like it was the image of someone flying upside down over the village or something. And I was like, yeah, no, this is not a game for Pagan. I'm not going to be playing this. And of course, Horizon Zero Dawn Part 2 looks epic.
Mm.
Even though I'm not a massive fan of the game, I still enjoy it. I thought the visuals were fantastic. The mechanics of the game were great. I think this announcement of Part 2 looks way more interesting than the first story did. Because I
Nice.
wasn't at all a fan of like the story. I didn't really care. I didn't grow any attachments. Love Aloy and all that, but didn't really
So,
kind of fit who I was.
Is there any
so.
one particular game that you're like personally like, oh, I can't wait to get my hands on that?
Spider-Man.
Okay. That's really what my question was, but we got a whole lot more. Thank you.
Yeah, You know, if I had to
I
pick,
talk. Do you notice?
Oh yeah.
We
If I
also have
had
a
to-
podcast where we talk all the time.
What we have microphones for.
This is why I like this.
Wow, you sound way better.
Oh,
and
I
if I
can
had to
listen to the
pick
rest of
one,
the show like this. Everybody remember that show with Tim Allen about his family?
Home
or
Improvement?
whatever? Home
The
Improvement.
neighbor
and
that-
the neighbor.
Wilson.
It was always like this. It's like against the wall. That should have been me this whole time.
Somebody
Just
somebody
like,
actually made a reference about that
"Oh."
to me Thursday during the Zoom chat because I was hanging out like off camera and I kept like peeking in like, what you guys doing?
It's a good reference. Good show. Good show.
Michael?
Sorry. Yes, Spider-Man. Go ahead.
Yeah, if I actually had to pick a game that has been announced, it would have to be Spider-Man.
The Miles Morales
Yeah.
Yeah.
extendable DLC expansion thing.
Full game, standalone.
I've heard
Spider-Man Lost
IGN said an interesting word to explain what that is, like the Lost Legacy style. Like, is it expand alone? I think it's expand alone.
Yeah.
It's
They
like
said it was
that.
a standalone expansion, yeah.
Yeah,
But it was just the way that the first one ended set it up so well.
it really did.
hmm
And
Mhm.
I was like, if they don't, I'm going to be really mad.
Yeah, same.
I would think it's going to line up really well with getting another Spider-Verse movie as well.
Yes.
Because goddamn, Spider-Verse was a great movie.
I haven't seen
Wow, what a great movie.
So good.
it. Hide my
Mhm.
shame.
This week's discussion of Retro Replay and the content that we received, starting with Father Knows Best, episode 5?
Episode 5.
I think
I'm
that's
just gonna-
five, yeah.
I'm just,
Sounds right.
I
you know,
believe it is. It's
riding
episode
off of Nolan's Father Knows Best. So the first thing that we like to ask our guests about Father Knows Best is just more or less like, how do you guys like this show? Like, because it's still a newer show, it's a little different. It's the first like gameplay, you know, with a new Retro Replay, and it's, you know, Nolan with his son Cooper. So just give us your sense of how do you like this show?
It
I'm gonna
actually
put somebody
helped
on
me.
spot.
It actually helped me figure out what kind of a game to play with my oldest son.
Hmm.
Because the games he likes to play and the games I like to play, it's like I'm too old for his games and he's too young for mine.
Gotcha.
So it was kind of nice. I was like, Lego superheroes.
Nice.
I mean, there it is, you know.
Nice.
But as far as it being a part of the show, I like it. I can't really explain why, because it's just, I mean, you know,
It's just like
I
it's
haven't been able to
wholesome.
find anything to dislike about it. It's
Yeah.
like it's
We like to say it's a wholesome show. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, it's
it doesn't quite have
family content.
the humor of the other shows. I mean, it has its moments where it's definitely funny, but it's
I
just
mean,
that
it's-
dynamic of the father-son duo and the way they interact with each other. Like you said, it's hard to explain. It's just special in a way.
Yeah.
Did you have
I
any
think Cooper's
thoughts?
coming into his own.
Oh yeah, he's starting to learn how to do his
I feel
thing.
like he's starting
Yeah.
to pick it up and like I don't know. I think he's just getting a little bit more comfortable with the idea of a show. Like I think it's different, like because obviously he's an actor as well, and it's different when you have a script and you're on set or whatever. And this is all improv.
With your
but
dad.
I think yeah, with your dad, like
You
you're just
improv.
riffing off your dad. But I think it's nice because I think like there is stuff that he's unsure about, and there is stuff that he's like, can you say that? Can you like? I'm just concerned about the replayers or whatever. And he's starting into live chats and stuff as well, and it's
He
really
has
nice.
his own
It's really
emoji
nice to
now.
see that.
That's
Yeah,
that was
Mhm.
cool.
yeah, love that. Shout out to Robbie Nate for that.
Oh yeah, she does all of them.
She does all of them.
Yeah, she's
All
doing
of the
all of them.
emotes. Most.
Shout out
of
to Robbie.
them. Yeah, shout out to Robbie.
Anyways, Emmanuel, how do you feel about that show?
I'm still on the fence. I
Okay.
enjoyed the episode. Enjoyed the series so far, but it's just it's a whole different dynamic. And you mentioned the father and son dynamic, and seeing the difference between like seeing with like Thursday Uncharted's and seeing them as father and son. It's kind of I'm still trying to get used to that dynamic, and this week's episode kind of made me a little bit better appreciative of the series because when Cooper started taking over.
Yeah.
And that you see him coming to his own, and I was like, okay, this is the dynamic that I'm looking for. Cooper actually becoming teacher instead of being the
Yeah.
student, and it's
Mm.
like when you see that, it's like, oh, okay, this is actually a really great series because when he starts taking over, his dad kind of like prods him back a little bit, but he's pretty much laissez-faire with his son. So when you see like Nolan just like prodding back, it's like, okay, he's trying to get him back there, but Cooper's still doing it anyways. Once you see that and he flubs, it's like, oh well, what can you do at that point? But seeing that dynamic is so refreshing in a retro replay series like that. So I'm still learning, but I'm learning to appreciate it more with each episode.
Well, I definitely appreciate an alternate take and perspective on the show, and that's one of the reasons why I like to ask about how you feel about the show, because I don't expect you to just blindly like, I love it, it's amazing, you know. And hearing
saying it because it's on retro replay.
Yeah, I mean,
exactly.
Hearing an alternate take is good, and the fact that you're like, but you know, here's what I'm liking about the show, and the fact that you're liking how Cooper's kind of coming into his own, that speaks a lot, you know, and especially if by chance Cooper hears that, he goes, oh, right, maybe, you know, like he may or may not hear it.
Yeah, you never know. He might listen.
Flip of a coin.
Probably doesn't. I actually really enjoy, like what I was gonna say as an example was when they said something about like wash your hands or COVID knuckles. That's how it started.
Oh, right.
Like they fist bumps, and he's like, yeah, COVID knuckles, and he's like, stay safe out there.
We could do the ultimate COVID knuckles.
We love you. Wait, is it me and you? Am I on your right?
I'm on right.
Who's right?
Those two are right. Left. Those two are good. They're below me, and they're both gonna be hitting each other's knuckles. So Pagan,
I'm this way.
You need to go the other way.
This
Pagan,
way?
Yeah.
There we go. I got my. There we go. Hey, look at that.
There. Perfect COVID knuckles.
Pagan got me. Pagan got me. We're good. We're good, baby.
Nice. Yeah, see, because me and Emmanuel are actually on each other's side the same way. So I'm pointing to Emmanuel, right?
I have me and Pagan on top,
yeah,
and then Michael and Emmanuel underneath.
That's crazy because I have it the opposite way around, and myself and Emmanuel are correctly situated for each other. So if I'm like, yeah, right, buddy, like
I know.
It would actually make sense.
That's certainly going to be the screenshot for this episode.
Definitely. But yeah, so he starts with the COVID knuckles, and then he's like, you know, I love you guys, stay safe, like much love from me. And I thought that was just really cute. And then
he's
obviously
so nice.
Nolan trips on it. Nolan's like,
see you guys next week.
It's really cute. I just think it's great, and I think like he is coming into his own. I did love shout out to Grace frickin' Giffen Grace. Frickin' Giffen Grace. It's so amazing.
Frickin' frick.
I loved the GIF from this week's episode where she's zooming in slowly to Cooper, and she's titled it "Hello Darkness, my old friend," because it's just Cooper just being like,
just Cooper like.
It's really cute. Great. Yeah, it's so good. But I'm loving Cooper's engagement, and I'm liking that he's starting to come out a little bit more out of his shell, I guess. And it seemed like he was definitely in one, in like this kind of shell behind this wall in the first few episodes. But I feel like now he's starting to get more comfortable with it, and he's engaging in chat, and he knows who replayers are, and is replying to replayer questions. And this is really nice to see him come into a part of the community.
And seeing like Cooper just like coming out, and it's pretty cool because we're watching it as it unfolds live, and it's like, okay, Cooper's starting to do this slowly. All right, he's trying to do this, but like seeing him do more in the series, and I wish I was in the live chat to see it, but seeing him more involved with the replayers is pretty much coming to his own and just learning everybody, and the series kind of cemented him to learn more with the community, and seeing that at that point, it's like, okay, Cooper's warming up to us very slowly, and it works out in the end.
Like, you could get on board with this. Like, I feel like I can get on board with this. I like the show anyway, but I just feel like it's getting way better.
Mm-hmm. It definitely seems to be finding its own as it's going on. It's so interesting, like going full circle back to like it's hard to explain, but definitely some interesting notes on that episode. Like I definitely kind of tune out a little bit watching that show. I listen a little bit more than I watch it, and then there was like those moments where I heard Nolan talk about murder hornets from Japan, and Cooper goes, "Oh, Japan, that's like where Godzilla came from," and I went, "Huh? What? Huh? Godzilla?"
Someone say Godzilla?
Godzilla? Where?
What?
Gojira? What?
Yeah. What was I going to say about this one? Oh yeah.
I wanted you to mention your note that you had on there.
Yeah, so I want to obviously like time to go ham. That was great. But, and I feel like you know which note I'm talking about. Cooper North. let's have a conversation because you started defending Hayden Christensen
Like I
in
did.
episode 3. Like Dan did.
I did
Sorry,
too.
Dan did. Are you kidding me, folks? Yeah, he's just a young guy and just like didn't have much of a script to work with. Yeah, okay, I get that, buddy. But like, come on, Cooper, you're telling me you wouldn't do better? Come on now. Come on now.
I've heard him called Mannequin Skywalker because of Hayden Christensen.
I'm sorry. I can't. Now, look, he's gotten a lot of shtick for that over the years. I'm sure he's actually a good actor. Maybe, possibly, who knows? Maybe you went to acting school.
Maybe not.
He's
for
been in
Anakin.
other
Maybe
movies
not.
and stuff too, by the way.
Has he? Has he had a career since? Because Jesus. But yeah, like he was just starting to like defend it. And he was like, "Yeah, episode 3 was pretty cool, etc." And I'm like, "Yeah, but was it though? Because are you sure though? Are you actually sure? Have you watched it again recently? Because but yeah, I could probably like I could just go off on that. Like I cannot stand his character. But then Adam, my fiance, does actually do the
Adam
same
who?
as you and as you and Cooper. And he's just like, yeah, he's just a good actor, but he's just had nothing to work with and blah blah. And he just wasn't given the props that he deserves. And you're not supposed to like him.
You're not. You're
Like,
really not.
You're really not supposed to like him at all. So the fact that he is making you dislike him,
He's
doing
doing
a good
his job.
So I see that perspective too. So I kind of get that.
You're
but,
supposed to see
oh,
his downfall. That was the whole point of seeing him
right.
turn
But
into
my-
Darth Vader.
I get
You're
that.
supposed to not like him as a character, not as an
Right.
actor.
Right.
Ugh.
The problem with this is the problem I have with this is, in order to see his downfall, you need to be somewhat emotionally invested. Probably since the first episode, right? Since he was a kid.
True.
Terrible. Just
Poor writing.
just-
Yeah, it's still that's my main
yeah.
element is I think it's poor writing.
It's just awful. I'm so sorry. Even the kid, I was like, just leave him behind. Let him pod race. Who cares? Go off and do whatever you need to do. Qui-Gon and fucking Obi-Wan. Y'all just you mind your own business.
And let it
He's
be
okay.
let it be some big reveal later that, oh, remember that guy? This is him now.
Yeah, basically. Because I just feel like you kind of need an emotional investment. And then like obviously episode 2 and then episode 3. And I'm just like, yeah, but I kind of don't like you anyway. So the fact that like you're downward spiral and I'm like not supposed to trust you, and the scenes he has with Natalie Portman, and I'm like, wow, Natalie Portman is actually all right. I feel bad for her.
I
'Cause
don't
I'm
like
like,
sand.
Why did you? Oh Jesus, yeah, the
That
sand
that stuff
thing,
is like the
I
worst
can't.
writing in that whole thing.
That's
Like
the worst.
I don't like
writing.
sand. It gets everywhere.
Terrible. And I
remember
totally agree. Like, how would you work with that as an actor? I totally get it. But
I remember seeing that
also-
in theaters. I'm like, oh, why did he say he doesn't like sand? Why?
Well, let's look at the points where like he's just
Doesn't
in
he
full
touch
rage
her as
mode,
well?
and
Yeah,
like
doesn't he touch her as well when he says that? Okay.
the way he's like crawling out of the lava, like like those were good. That's good acting, right? I'm not being super serious
it?
now.
I mean, I'm sure it's better than I could do.
Now I'm just
I
trolling
mean,
Pagan at this
sure.
point.
Yeah, I think Cooper needs to watch it again.
So much reservation. It's like,
No, honestly, like people come to his defense all the time and they're like, no, it's just bad writing. It really just is bad writing and potentially bad directing for actors. Like not the whole thing, but maybe it was just towards how he's performing. Maybe he didn't get a lot of direction against it. I still don't like it though. I just still think it's shit. I'm sorry. I'm gonna stand by that.
Okay.
Anytime I watch it, I'm like, yeah, no, I'm out. See you later. Bye.
Can I confess something?
Okay.
Uh-oh.
I've never
You've never
actually
seen
seen any of them all the way through.
Any of them all the way through.
Well, you're
None of
Don't
them.
bother.
one
betting
with
me.
the Pagan club
Steer
here.
clear. What?
I mean, my
It's
dad
not
has
my
been a
fault.
huge. My dad was a huge fan. All my childhood, he had all the little collectible figures and movie posters and all that stuff. And whenever he would watch them, I'd glance over and be like, "What's that tall, hairy thing that can't talk?" Oh, okay.
Face factor.
And then I would just move on. But
I
in my
would
defense,
rather-
I
yeah.
was like 5. when
Yeah, I
he
grew
would
up on
watch
Star
them,
Wars,
so-
watching it when I was 5. Like that's my earliest memories of Star Wars when I was a young kid and just always loving it.
I mean, I could
Mm.
definitely see how people could enjoy it. It's just not my.
Well, no, I mean that sci-fi
I
isn't for
actually
everyone in
really
general.
Mhm.
Don't. I don't. I don't see the thing about it. I don't know. I don't.
But you
I
like
think
Lord of
the
the
first
Rings,
three
right?
are great. Yes.
Yeah, so let's talk about Lord of the Rings.
Oh no.
No, we could be
hopefully,
here forever.
hopefully they start playing Lego Lord of the Rings next, and then Pagan will
Oh
be super
yes,
happy.
please.
Uh,
Oh, Cooper and Nolan, please. Yes. Oh
That
god.
would be
Speaking
yes.
of
I'm gonna
Lego
send it to you.
games, Michael, for you and your son, best way to go play Lego games. Some of the best family
Yeah,
co-op
it's a
games
great
you can
idea
get.
to do that.
Mhm.
How old is
Yeah,
your son,
no,
Michael?
we've which one?
Your
My
eldest.
oldest is 7.
Okay.
That's a
and
good
I-
game for him to play then, because I feel like isn't that between 6s and 10s or something
Yeah,
like that as well? It's
it's-
recommended from 6 up or 7 up.
Yeah, I mean, when
7.
I tried
So
to
E for
get him.
everyone.
Yeah, I tried to get him into a little bit of Tekken, but he is
A little bit of Tekken.
super competitive, and I don't know how not to go easy.
Eh.
Because that is the one game that I would say that I'm actually okay at.
It's like me trying to play Street Fighter with my dad when I was a kid. And
I hate Street Fighter.
oh
It's
man,
not a fighting game. It's
I'm
I
talking
am
about
like Nolan,
old
I
Street
just
Fighter,
button
like Street Fighter
smash.
2 back in the day.
Mm.
But do you okay, hold up. Okay, so these kind of combat games, right? Both you and like so Dan and Michael, even Emmanuel, if you play these games, do you actually know what buttons you're pressing?
Uh-huh.
Do
Oh,
you
yeah.
know the combos you're pressing?
Most
Yeah.
of the time, if
Really?
I'm
That's fascinating. I just
I
button
do
mash
not.
and hope for the best.
I hate button mashing.
Oh, really?
If it's a game that I play a
win
lot and
everything,
I-
I'm
It's a
just like,
routine. It's like
Well,
the games
it's
that I
like-
played the most and I practiced at, I knew all my characters' combos down to the T.
Yeah,
Ah,
it's
no
like
good.
anyone who's actually played Tekken specifically, you know how King has all those really long like wrestling grab combos. I
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
do 2 of them all the way through.
What?
Mhm.
How?
And it's
Wow.
you know, I mean my philosophy, I guess I could call it on that is if you're going to play a game, learn how to play the game.
Yeah, no.
You know, I mean,
Pagan
I'm
says,
not
nah.
I just liked getting
Like, nah, I'm
through
good.
to beat the boss, and then like you see the little clip at the end.
Oh,
know
in,
their
in
story?
Tekken
In
7
Tekken
you buy
2.
those now.
What?
In
You
Tekken-
buy those now?
Yeah, not with like actual money.
That's
It's in-game
awful.
money, but
Oh,
Mm. The last Tekken game that I
Jesus.
played that I really enjoyed was 5. Especially
good.
because they had all that was the first game they added all the customizations and like you leveled up and it had all this progression, and I played the bejesus out of that game, and then I stopped playing Tekken games after that.
Just pick up 7.
Tekken, I would rage quit. I would go crazy.
I don't
on
play
maps
fighting
like that.
games as anymore like
yeah,
I
man.
used
Just
to.
fighting games in general.
I'll
I just
dabble
button
into
mash and
like
then I
Mortal
die.
Kombat here and there, but otherwise I don't really play fighting games that often. Just don't have time for it. It's like I don't have time to sit around just
Honestly,
fighting.
I would just say. To be fair, it would be like me and Michael playing Tekken would be like Nolan and Troy playing Mortal Kombat, where Troy actually knows combos and shit, and Nolan was just hoping for the best,
Yeah.
button smashing, and like Nolan won a few games. Nolan won a few rounds.
Troy let him.
And Troy was like,
Yeah.
all right,
Yeah,
calm down.
That would
Link.
exactly be me. I'd be like,
Like-
all right, you want to
Yeah,
think you can do something?
just-
You
Let's
want to go?
just-
You want to
Just
go?
calm down for a second there,
That just-
okay, buddy?
That's the only thing I can think of now is when I played against like a friend in Mortal Kombat and they picked Sub-Zero and all they did was spam the Sub-Zero freeze, and I'm just like you can't.
even
There's
in-
like nothing
even-
you can do about it. And he's like, I know.
Yeah. That's the
See-
point, though. Like, that's the point of picking that character. If you know how to do it, then just do it. But see, I do not.
See, that's the thing about Mortal Kombat is, okay, that's the difference between Tekken and Mortal Kombat is Tekken is more about the complexity of the combos, like how many buttons in a row you have to push, and
Right.
Mortal
Yeah, true.
Kombat is all about the timing.
Mhm.
And even in Mortal Kombat, I will still practice and make sure that I've got a good string of moves going.
The last fighting game that I played that I actively practiced combos was probably BlazBlue. And I
BlazBlue.
think
Oh, BlazBlue.
Did
yeah,
you stroke mid sentence? Is that a name?
BlazBlue.
That is an actual title.
Yeah, yeah.
What the-
But before that, like my go-to fighting game before that used to be
Hold on, I gotta.
SNK versus Street Fighter.
Oh wow. Capcom versus SNK.
Yes. Capcom versus SNK 2000 or 2002.
Mm.
And like I forget my character that I used to play as, but like I had all the combinations down. I had all the different combo strings and like how to like get the right hitboxes and all that. And there was like the one, because you could play as Evil Ryu in that too, and Evil Ryu had like the instant kill finisher that I had like memorized. And then I had a buddy who was also really good at that with Joe, and he could kill me, and like it became this epic death struggle of who's gonna kill who first.
I was always a bigger fan of Marvel versus Capcom.
I liked Marvel vs. Capcom 2,
Yeah.
Seen that.
but the series lost me after that.
Thank you, NBCI. That buried the series for me, and I stopped playing after.
Yeah.
It's like I'm done with this. It's over.
Poor Pagan is just lost.
I'm Googling everything you said. Honestly, BlazBlue sounded like you were just making shit up. I'm sorry. It did.
See now, Emmanuel, you
I
call
like
it
the game,
Blaze Blue. I've always called it
BlazBlue.
BlazBlue.
Oh, I got corrected. I got corrected on with a friend of mine. It's like I said BlazBlue too,
Yeah.
and my friend told me no, it's BlazeBlue. Okay, that
Okay.
Oh, is it? Oh,
Okay.
media. It's like okay,
It's
okay.
BLAZB.
BLUE.
Okay.
Yeah, there's
Alright.
no E.
All right.
But
I'll take
sure.
your word for it.
What's that
Absolutely.
revision kick? That's like
Oh, and
okay.
Guilty Gear. Guilty Gear was my game before that.
Guilty Gear?
Yeah.
Was this also another fighter game?
Yep.
Yes.
By the same
Ew.
studio that did Blaze Blue.
I
Guilty
see
Gear
it.
is the more
Oh.
hardcore fighting game, but BlazeBlue's kind of casual to like the almost pro. But Evo is still using that as a title that they use for
The
their
art in
tournaments.
that game looks really good.
Oh yeah. It's got
The
amazingly
Guilty Gear
hand-drawn
thing, it's
art.
beautiful. Wow. Holy
Anyone
shit.
here played Skullgirls?
Mm-hmm.
I have that game on-
Skullgirls.
I have that game still installed on
Googling
launch.
it.
I still have that.
So
I
I'm
don't have
almost
it.
I'm a little remiss at this point to even try to move on to talking about like Uncle Noli.
Oh, we're doing a podcast?
Oh, yeah. What are we here for?
Are you sure? Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Just gonna talk about fighting games all day.
I'm cool with that. Special fighting game edition of Three-Player Podcast.
Yeah, the Reaper podcast.
Oh man, I haven't played a fighting game in a
that
while.
artwork looks really good too. Skullgirls. That's cool.
I have that thing now where like if I do go back and play a fighting game, I get to the point where like after a few minutes my thumbs go numb and I'm like, how did I used to do this?
See, there's a technique to it too, because like I don't use my right thumb. I actually turn my hand and use
Oh,
these
I
Well,
two.
for
do
me,
that.
it's
Step
more
that
doing
button
the
mash
like the
sounds
circle motions on the pad, like because I use the D-pad over the stick.
Yeah.
So I do like the down, forward, down, like the circular motions, and like before long, my thumb just kind of like forgets how to move, and it's like,
You get a callus
That's
built up here
sore.
from sliding it
Yeah.
around the D-pad.
yeah.
At her, it's gonna be like,
remember that.
too much work.
I had so many friends that were so big into fighting games, and like they'd come over and be like, "Let's play, let's fight," and I'm like, "But what does that do for us? Like, I beat you, you beat me. It goes back and forth over and over and over and over." And
That's my brother-in-law with
that
Call
was
of
like
Duty.
Smash Brothers too. Like I was huge into Smash Brothers for a long time, but it's the same thing now where I'm like, like I don't get anything out of it anymore like I used to. The competitiveness as far as like, yeah, I'm gonna beat you, and it's either I'm really good and I beat them over and over again, or they're really good and they just beat me over and over again, and I'm like, this isn't fun.
That is the life story of my playing fighting games. Because I was shit, because I'd never take the time or the patience to learn anything, and everyone else was like whooping my ass. And I was
Get
like, I don't
outta
want to play
here.
with you anymore.
Whooping.
I don't want to play this game. This game
Many
sucks. I want
times.
to play Barbie roller skating or whatever, because I can fucking win at that by myself.
You just sit back and watch Barbie like rollerblade around.
No, you actually play, and you have to do tricks, and you get points for it and stuff, and you unlock levels. Okay.
So
Think
Tony Hawk.
Pro Skater. Yeah.
It's actually yes.
See, now everyone's tuned out.
Basically, except you're on roller skates, and it's a cute game, and I really liked it. Okay, you get little trophies, like little. Oh, stop! It was a really good game.
Nice.
My
No,
sister used to
please
play the
tell
one
us
where you
about
took care of a horse farm.
it. Mm.
Oh,
Oh,
I didn't
wow.
have that. I think a friend of mine had that, and I was like, man, I really want that game. I need to find out what that Barbie roller skater though was, because if I can get my hand on it,
What was it for?
I'm gonna send it to Retro Replay. It was Barbies on roller
No,
skates.
what platform?
Oh, definitely must have been PlayStation 1.
Okay, so it was like old
Definitely
school
must-
PlayStation 1 game. All right, because if it was
Yeah.
anything in the vein of like Tony Hawk, I'm down. Like, let's watch them play that. Let's watch Nolan.
It was Honestly, it's called Barbie Super Sports.
Yeah. So was there
That's
other
exactly
sports?
what it is. I'm just googling it, and the nostalgia is so real. Barbie Super Sports.
Now that is proper retro
Yep.
retro
I'm sending
action
it
right
to
there.
them. Sauce buddy.
The
Like something like
nostalgia
that.
is real.
Send it through to them. The nostalgia is so real, and like it's really rare. And I think I've said this on the podcast before. Like I didn't play a lot of retro
Who
games.
made that
so
game? Can you see?
I will find out.
It was
Um,
Age Tech.
But hold on. Wait, what does it
Pagan
say?
doesn't get that joke.
What was the joke?
That it was Age Tech, which is a very bad developer.
Hey, they did one game that was a game that Pagan couldn't play because it's all about
Oh,
ghosts on a ship
Ha!
called
Nope.
Echo Knight.
Oh wow, yeah.
Nope.
Remember that one? I
That
was
sounds
wondering
scary.
if it's made by 989 Studios because they also made another sports game on the PS1 called Too
Modem?
Extreme. Yeah, Too Extreme. Too Extreme and
Dude,
3
I
Extreme.
love that one.
I played
No.
the shit out of those games.
Those
This
were awesome.
was by Runecraft, Mattel Media, and SCEE. So it was
Runecraft
Runecraft.
sounds like a
RUNE
game itself.
Craft.
Never heard of Runecraft.
No,
No,
I've
me
never.
neither.
That sounds like
But
an
there you
old
go.
PC game.
It sounds
Probably
like
was.
World
Probably
of
was.
Warcraft meets RuneScape.
What a great game! If I could find this somewhere and get some sort of emulator, fuck me. Yes.
Yes, that's
Fuck
all.
me.
That's one word that says it all.
Yes.
It's on PC. I'm having such a like freak out of
Is
this
it on
Super Source
PC?
thing. I'm gonna send it to him. Yeah, I think so. I think you can download it for PC as well.
Get it on
Wow.
Steam.
Yeah, on Steam.
I'm gonna get it somewhere. Oh yeah, I remember. And you had to like collect in-game like currency, and you could buy really nice skates with the in-game currency. And I
bouncing.
never got
She's
to
so
get the nice
excited.
big.
I know it's giddiness right there. It's like yes, yes.
Oh my god! Oh, okay. I'm gonna send it to him. I don't care. Even if like I don't care.
So now we
It's
have
for
we have
me.
to get this Barbie game for Pagan now.
Yes, true. Barbie Super Sports. Just tie it in somewhere. I don't
Make it happen. Find a way.
Make it
happen.
trending.
Fine. If I get this for you, I want the full game streamed.
You can do that.
Ooh.
Oh, do it. Oh my god. It's such a cute game. Oh,
Pagan's
okay.
number one
I
stream.
have to
Number one trending game on Twitch.
calm down. Oh my god. What a nostalgic moment. I've only just remembered that game existed.
That's
Isn't
awesome.
that funny?
And that we got there with us
Um,
talking about random ass fighting games.
I know. How cool
Isn't it
is
great?
that?
I
Thanks,
love
guys.
this tangent. This tangent went so far. It's amazing.
the
Those are
majority
the
of our
best
podcast.
tangents when they break off into like a million different tendrils. What are we doing?
There's a
My
podcast.
life just changed. I forgot if the game existed. You guys go about your way.
I was saying
have
we can't even go
changed.
back now, can we? We've gone too far.
We cannot go back. We cannot go back.
Sure, we can.
You know what else is changing? Life-changing advice from Uncle Noli.
Boom.
There we go.
Segue.
Nailed it.
Brought it back.
Damn.
Look at that.
Way. Oh. Life-changing advice from Uncle Noli.
Which was episode 15 entitled Don't Sleep with Tammy from Waffle House because you'll get crabs.
That was a great one.
Oh man, there were some good
That
ones
would've
in
been
that.
life-changing advice.
Did you guys catch that one of Uncle Noli?
Yeah.
Did you have any favorite advice from that episode?
the chicken or the egg?
Mm.
Thank you. That was mine too. The chicken
See,
and
it's
the egg is perfect.
See, it's like they've actually finally come up with an answer.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like an actual scientific answer. They actually
Science.
yeah, they
Yeah.
they have actually figured it out. And I was like, is Noli gonna say that? Or is he gonna pull an Uncle Noli and just like scream at this
Yeah.
guy?
And sure enough,
Yeah.
And in true Uncle Noli fashion, he
Yep.
did just that.
that was definitely a good one. It's funny when we
Loved
get
it.
multiple
Chicken spunk.
people liking yes, chicken spunk.
Yeah.
Like when we all like have like the same favorite Uncle Noli advice.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I also like really resonated with mac and cheese.
Oh yeah.
Ah,
Here's
that-
what else.
that-
Oh, definitely.
That's like my
I'm
favorite
sorry.
bit.
I was like, yes.
Yes.
I will say this though, like mac and cheese is such a huge thing in America. It's not that big of a
It's so
thing
big
here.
in America.
It's
It's
big.
so not
Huge.
that big of a thing.
And so
here.
are the people
You
that
guys-
eat it.
Didn't you
So
tell me?
true.
Didn't you say you have mac and cheese in a packet?
Something
Were
like
we
that.
talking about this? Me,
we
you,
were
and
we were talking
Thompson?
about mac and cheese a few weeks ago, and I was talking about like making the box mac and cheese. So it's the pasta and the shells come in a box, and you boil the pasta, and there's a packet within that box that has cheese
Is it
sauce in
good?
it that you just dump into it.
Sauce.
Yeah,
Dude,
it's
that's the good
sauce.
stuff.
That's the deluxe mac and cheese.
I mean,
Yeah,
I've
they have
made
the-
cheese sauce and then like you put it with pasta, but like
Yeah.
we don't like there. So
Pasta.
there is. It just doesn't compare to your mac and cheese in America. Like I remember going to LA for like 3 days.
I
and
mean,
we
box
ran
mac and
into a
cheese isn't
supermarket.
great.
No, but I mean,
I
we
don't
ran
know
into
of
a
any other
supermarket. You have it in the
kind.
deli. You have it like to serve like hot food serve in the
Mhm.
deli. So we got a huge fucking portion of mac and cheese
Oh,
because
yeah.
we got there
Yeah.
crazy late and nothing else was open. So like, great, cool.
I
And,
mean, we could-
and this was the best meal I've ever had. I was like, we need to go back there every single day for this mac and cheese. It's
one of
so
my
good.
one of my favorite dishes to make at home actually was homemade like baked mac and cheese, but I also make it with chicken
Ugh.
and jalapenos.
Oh, see, I
so
do the
good.
same, but with bacon.
Oh,
I've
you're
done
making me
that too,
hungry.
like chicken and bacon, but I like
Wow.
jalapeno a lot. So I will do chopped up chicken, chopped up jalapeno, and I mix that into the mixture of pasta and
cheese.
cheese sauce that I make myself from scratch. And then I
Mm.
put breadcrumbs on top of it and bake it.
Mm.
And
Yeah,
it is
nice.
like
You're
yeah.
hired.
Here's a okay. Well, actually, you
good.
don't. I don't know if you don't have it, but there's we have crisps here in Ireland called Tato,
Mhm.
and Tato's cheese and onion crisps are like really famous in Ireland.
Are those the ones you make into breadcrumbs?
Yes. So you smash the shit out of that and top
Mhm.
it with your mac and cheese.
Ooh.
I've done that before. I've used
Have you?
I've used old like the bottom bits of a potato chip bag.
Nah, it's not Tato though. I will send you some Tato.
Tato.
It's
see
just,
Tato.
I will
What's
the
send you some
difference?
Tato.
Are they like
so you can have it
Pringles?
on your mac and cheese. No, not at all.
Okay.
They're just like normal chips, like they're normal chips that you would have in America. It's just there's a particular flavor on them. It's cheese and onion flavor, just like
Okay.
every normal thing.
we
But
have
it's
those
just
now,
a
I think.
particular taste. It's very strong, and them on 2 o'clock in the morning when you've had quite a few to drink, and you're like, I need something to eat.
That's what I need.
Like people serve it at the end, like
I
at
need
the
some
at the
Tatoes.
end of the night on weddings and stuff. It's like a packet of potato and 2 pieces of bread, and you have like a crisp sandwich. Oh my god!
Mm.
That's
I'll
me with
send you
Arby's
some
curly
Tato, and
fries.
you will
crisp
discover all of these
sandwich.
yourself. Yes.
So it's
Have you never had that?
no, I put potato chips on a sandwich, but it's a
Oh, yeah.
sandwich in itself that like it has stuff on it. But it sounds like you're saying just bread with chips and then bread.
Well, okay, sure, bread and butter with chips. Does that help?
No,
I've
I've never done that before.
No. that's-
It's so good. Okay, I'll send you some.
I believe you. I'll take your word for it. I've got some Irish butter
good.
downstairs. I'll go put some Irish butter on some bread and make myself a Tato
Irish
sandwich.
butter, cheese and onion crisps, but like Tato though.
Okay.
Has to be Tato. Like
It kind of has to be. I'm not gonna lie. It just doesn't work well with everything else. There's King crisps as well, but there's a whole thing. But no, I like Tato better.
It's
On
like
yeah. There's a I'll
this
send
is a whole new tangent about mac and cheese and potato chips.
the chips. It's
yeah,
like,
because you see, he did also mention ramen, and like ramen is big
Right.
pretty much everywhere.
He's
but
never had ramen though.
Yeah.
he's,
I-
yeah, he
it
never.
does sound like he's never. Did he say that he never had it before?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he said you can make ramen. I don't know what that is, but
I was gonna
Yeah.
quote the line where he's like, you boil some water, you put some shit in it, and
he's like, and then you open up this packet of shit.
yeah,
I
a
don't know.
packet of shit.
He didn't
I
know
was
what
like-
ramen is.
That's another
my
college
goodness.
night.
Oh yeah,
Oh, for sure. When I was in college, it was tater sandwiches and fucking
Ramen.
ramen noodles.
lived off of ramen for a long
Yeah,
time.
so
Uh,
long.
I would make.
They're tasty.
I would make like.
I used
and
to
I
make
checked this
ramen
on
mac and
Twitter.
cheese.
I did. I do the ramen burrito. Wow, I had a flub. Basically, it's Doritos
Ramen
chips, Cheez-Its, and Slim Jims with the ramen, and you
Mm.
just boil that with hot water, and that's pretty much my lunch. It tastes like Taco Bell.
Wow.
It's straight out of Taco Bell.
You know, I
Okay.
used to take a ramen noodle packet and I would boil the water like you're supposed to, and I would boil the noodles, and then I would drain the water, put the noodles back in the pan with the sauce packet, and then I would add butter and milk, and then I would put like chopped cheese in it and melt the cheese and mix it around.
Oh,
So it'd make like cheesy ramen noodles.
Yeah, but what was the flavor on the ramen noodles? What was
Chicken.
the sauce?
okay.
Chicken.
Okay.
I wouldn't do it
What
with
you
beef.
What you just described is exactly what I had for lunch today.
Did you really?
Wow.
It's a revelation.
Amazing.
Amazing.
That's incredible. No, there you go. But I was super in for the food talk.
That mac and
Food
cheese.
talk and the chicken spunk.
You were all in
over
for the
other
chicken spunk.
Yeah, chicken cheese.
It was great. I'm sorry. It's funny.
Before we move on, I have to mention that we did get at least one solid advice. Like, he always tends to work one decent, like actual decent advice in there when he was doing the response to Justice about the advice about someone going through a life, like their life being full of chaos. And he's just like,
yeah.
you know, ride
Ride
that
the wave.
spiral, you know, like just hang on, enjoy the chaos, and just go with
Yeah,
it. And I feel
that's
like
nice.
that's good advice for anyone going through just craziness. Because sometimes that's all you can do.
Yeah, I would totally agree. I feel like you do need to ride the wave and just sort of let it happen, because I feel like it's the resistance that will fuck you up, if you know
Yeah.
what I mean. Like when you're trying to make everything perfect and your day is just awful all the time, or your life or whatever is happening at that moment, it's just like one thing after another. It's when you're trying to correct it that it starts to fuck itself up.
Yeah.
So just riding the wave and just like, okay, well, this is just how it is, and it's shit for the moment, but whatever. Yeah, I agree with that to a certain extent. But another extent, I'm kind of like, all right, take the reins. Like, take the reins, get back control, do whatever you need to do to get it back, because otherwise your life is going to be spiraling into chaos for a very long time. So that was the only bit of advice that I was like, I get you. I see where you're coming from, buddy. But also, I would slightly disagree.
I mean, I guess it's a matter of context in the way you take it, because,
True.
you know, if he's saying, like, ride the wave or go with it, you know, it could be a matter of, okay, I'm going to take control by not controlling
that.
everything. You know, it's like,
Okay, yeah.
it's just
You
a matter of
actively
looking at-
choose to just let it happen.
Right, exactly. And then
Fair
he
enough.
also ended that with the rotini, which I felt like was a throwback joke to the mac and cheese.
Spiraled pasta.
Exactly.
When I saw the advice, I was like, man, I was like, did he just throw rotini from the last? Oh, okay, he did.
Yep. All
He's
right.
good like that. He's quick.
Before we move on to the retro replay Uncharted playthrough, did you guys have any last minute thoughts on that Uncle Noli episode?
That mac and cheese thumbnail is amazing. I posted on the replayers group. I did not expect that much reactions from laughing. And it's like, it's Chef Uncle Noli. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Chef Uncle Noli, like Chef Boyardee.
Dude, I would fucking love an Uncle Noli cooking show.
Oh, someone commented that.
Oh, man.
I actually posted
Did
a
they
comment
really?
about that.
He
So-
did say in that
Dude.
episode that he likes to cook, right? So
I
He
would
said he was a
love
culinary
that.
expert back in the day.
mhm.
Like I
That's
posted a comment
amazing.
about Chef Uncle Noli, and then someone replied, "I would love to see that cooking show." I'm like, "Oh, okay, that was a nice little tangent on there."
Well,
That
retro
is
replay
so good.
does have its Wednesdays and Fridays free, so there's time for it.
Hot take, Drew.
Good, right? Yeah, hot take.
Uncle
There
Noli
is
cooking
actually
show.
a cooking show on YouTube that has just kind of like relatively started, I guess. But it is this kind of no bullshit style. Like, he's Australian and he's just like, you know, fuck packet mac and cheese. I'm gonna show you how to make the real one, and then like shows you. I'll link it to you guys if you want to see it. But it's that kind of style that I'd be looking for from Uncle Noli. This kind of like, hey, fuck this shit, do it the real way. This
Get
is how
that
we
New
do it.
England accent on.
Yeah.
You do it this way. Did anyone else see that picture from like the meme that you shared, where it's like the bowl of mac and cheese that they shared on the episode was like legit mac and cheese, but he was talking about like
Yes.
box mac and cheese? You're like, that's not
That's
the mac
not
and
it.
cheese.
That's
That's
not
not it.
That's not what he was talking about.
That is like real
I'm
mac and
really
cheese.
interested in this box mac and cheese. I want some.
All right, do you want me to send you some box mac and cheese?
Okay, I'm just gonna ask. Did
Hmm.
anybody just hear that screaming?
You heard
Screaming.
screaming? Do you need
No,
to go?
it's one of my kids.
Oh.
It's
Okay, I
Oh,
thought you were
no.
hearing voices.
I was
No,
like,
no,
where
I
are we
was-
going with this?
So did
Where are we
I.
going? Where are we going?
it
I love
sounds
how
like
all of us immediately were like, "Oh shit, it's ghosts."
I was like,
No,
I
it just-
look
it's-
back,
it-
like what?
it's just my headphones are making it seem like my microphone is picking up everything, and I don't know what you guys can hear.
I heard
but
a little
hear
bit of
haven't
everything,
traffic,
so-
and that's about
single
it.
thing.
Yeah.
Other
That
than
could
your
also be
voice.
my AC. I don't know.
Hmm.
No, I haven't heard anything except
Okay,
your
cool.
voice. You're all good.
You might have heard my
Just
dogs
that.
earlier, where I had to mute myself because I heard the dogs barking.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm a
Like
let me
Uncle
drift
Noli's
away.
dogs in retro replay.
They
Uncle Noli's
interrupted.
dogs. I
Everyone
want
wants
Uncle
to see
Noli's
'em,
dogs
though.
in
You
them.
could see them
Yeah.
in the live from his, was it his backyard? There was one where you got to see his
Yeah.
dogs briefly.
Yes.
Yeah, line quarantine, but they come in and out of that room anyway.
Yeah.
I think in the last episode or the week before, you could
Like,
see
you
them
see
like walk past.
the
He's got
dog's
the most
tail, like,
beautiful dogs. Oh,
And then, well, someone who is very observant saw a reflection of the dogs in one of the pictures he had in
Mhm.
the background. I was like, who noticed? Who? That didn't jump out to me.
Die
So when they
hard.
said it, I had to go back and look at it, and I was like, oh yeah.
oh my gosh.
His dogs
they're
are
so cute.
gorgeous,
Mm.
So much dogs.
and
So
he's
much
afraid
dogs.
that they're gonna take over because they're out
I
weighing him.
want like I just want a video. I just want a video of the dogs and like Uncle Noli and the dog. Just Nolan and the two dogs. Let's talk about them. What are their names? How old are they? Who's a good boy? You know, I want to know.
Who's the good boy? Who's
Who's
the
good boy?
troublemaker?
I want to know. Yeah.
Who's the goodest boy?
Maybe
goodest
they could
boy?
do that in a live chat or something. Like maybe they could do it like just a members live for just the dogs.
Right?
Does he have any pictures of them on his Instagram?
Does he? I don't know. He should. He should exploit those dogs. They're beautiful.
I know Drew has pictures of his pug on his Instagram.
How do I not
I'm
Yeah.
missing
follow
a lot
any
of
of them
stuff
on
too. What's
Instagram?
going
I
on?
should really hold up there. They're just about to get follows from
Hold
me
on.
Instagram.
Pagan's like, hold up, pause.
Excuse me. Oh Jesus.
Well, while you're doing that, I'm gonna throw into the whole notion of this new episode that we got Graham fucking McTavish being hilarious, and just him paired with Richard's laughter made probably one of my favorite episodes of a playthrough I've seen so far. Because one, I love Richard's laughter. That's been my favorite thing of the series so far. And then adding in Graham's nonsense that he's been saying and having just that echo of Richard's laughter the whole time. Oh man, I think I said it in the Nolan made the notion of them having like the bookends, but the bald heads and the beards.
So good.
And I commented in the live chat saying like the power of this level is ascended because of the bald and the goatees. Like they're just raising the bar.
Godlike.
Dude,
Godlike.
I'm so sorry. When you did that, like side of your screen, I'm sorry. It looked like you were kicking your leg up for some reason. I don't know why. Because half of your arm was cut off and half of your hand was cut off. So when you did this really quickly, it looked like you were
Like this is my foot, like whee!
with your naked leg. You're not wearing pants for this episode.
Like a bad kung fu
You
movie where
are?
like
Like
a
a-
fake
That's not
leg
required.
just comes up and it's like yeah.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Wait.
Also, yes, I totally agree.
So y'all are wearing pants right now?
No,
We're
all half girded.
no. You were all awkward.
Which is how I always picture Richard now.
I didn't need that image though.
So good.
When I first heard Richard talk, I had no idea that Sully's voice was his natural speaking voice.
Oh yeah.
Really?
That took me completely by surprise.
Interesting.
I don't know how anyone would like emulate that voice if they didn't have it to begin with.
I don't know. I feel like a lot of people
I'm
could do
sure,
it.
like, Nolan does a
Nolan
pretty good
does a
job.
impression. We said the same thing. Stop being the same person as me.
How many times have we done that before, Pagan?
I know a lot of times.
It's happened a lot.
It's creepy.
Stop it. Like,
And
nobody
everyone
else
was
will see
talking-
that right except for me on my side. You can see it in the
Nobody-
video.
And nobody like everyone keeps talking about how Richard's got this backyard full of bodies, but did you hear some of the things that Graham was saying?
Oh my god, yeah. The
Like,
constant
I'm-
murder speak.
No, like Richard's a saint compared to Graham.
I loved Graham's stuff though. I actually, firstly, I love the way that Nolan introduced Richard in this episode. He's like, he's got a face that only a victim could love.
Yes. I was drinking water. I
Honestly.
literally did a
Spit
I
take.
literally
I
did,
did
a
that.
spit take.
I did that when they were referring
Referring.
to the 35 acres that he owns, and had like the stream or whatever. And he's like, yeah, just all the pieces. He's like, look at the small float. I was like,
It just
like,
float
that's
away.
hilarious.
No, I liked Richard's intro too, but it was the other part of it. He's like, wherever you see Nathan, you see Sully, and wherever you see me, you see Richard McGonagall. And I was like, that's awesome.
Hmm.
I don't know. It was just, I guess,
It's
clever
cute.
wordplay. I
Yeah,
don't know.
it's good.
Speaking of Richard's voice, I've been rewatching Avatar, of course, since it's on Netflix in America again, and Richard plays a small role in that show. And every time I hear his voice, I'm like, Richard.
Come here, kid.
Cool.
So
I
if you
just-
didn't
yeah, I
already
think-
know that, he does play a small character in that show.
Yeah, I
I
didn't
didn't
know.
know. Me neither.
You should
gotta
watch
rewatch that
Avatar. Just watch Avatar. Just stop what you're
I
doing.
know. Everybody
Time to rewatch
keeps
that.
telling me to do this. When do I have time, Daniel?
Make it happen. Stop playing The
I-
Last of Us.
Never.
I haven't even started.
I don't know.
I think I totally agree with you though. Like every time there's something happening, like he just starts laughing, and Richard's laugh is just makes, it just makes the whole episode. Because something will happen, like no one will continue to die, and it's just, and you're like, he's
It's his
giggling and no one
little
died. But it's
chuckle.
great. His little chuckle is fantastic. But Graham made that episode. I'm
Oh,
sorry,
yeah.
Graham is
Yeah.
just.
He was
Gold.
heckling the whole episode, and like
He was
when you
tearing
see-
Nolan apart.
He was basically just like every time Nolan dies, it's like, oh, you did this, and like it's almost like it's torture for Nolan. So you see him at the episode, he's literally holding the
He was
controller.
starting to
He's
get
on focus mode.
mad.
Yes, he was on
It's
focus
because
mode.
of
He's
the
like, he doesn't
sniper thing.
matter.
He
The
couldn't
Nolan
do
rage.
like R3.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
And then Drew had to pop in to show him where R3 was.
R3. R. And he's
See,
like,
this-
I am
it's-
pressing
it's-
it. And he's like,
Hold up.
no, the R
Hold up.
button. He's like, oh, I'm pressing
like
the
it's
wrong
like
side.
R3.
I know
Oh,
this
God.
argument so well, like trying to talk to somebody about a controller. Like on PlayStation, Xbox, whatever, the buttons are L and then either a number or a letter, or
Yeah.
R or a number or a letter.
Yeah.
Left means L,
Yes.
R means right.
Yes.
Some
This is the
some people know
problem.
I'm calling them out right now. So
Because it's just kind of like when he was doing this like R3, I was like, does he not know that's the right one? Like R is there for
R's-
a reason.
Like, there's
And
only
then he's
two
like,
up
I
top.
am pressing it and it's not working. And he's getting really frustrated. And, oh, I stepped off my armchair.
Pagan's falling out of
Um,
the chair.
Ah,
Uh-oh.
no more drinking for me tonight. No, I think like it was really funny that Drew had to come in like blurred and be like, can you see this controller? It's this one. Oh.
See, I think what he meant when everyone was telling him to push R3 is like move the stick somewhere. I don't think he thought to.
He was
Click it.
pushing it in.
Yeah.
No, he was pushing it in, but he was pushing in L3.
Hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what I thought he was doing.
Right place.
Yeah, because he was like, I know it, right? You click it, you click the button, and I was like, okay, he knows what he's doing, but he's not clicking it.
The other
Oh,
problem
well,
could have been that
for
you
Nolan.
have to be aiming at the time when you click. And
True.
he might have been pressing just he might have been clicking without aiming first, so nothing
Yeah, true.
happens.
He
You
got
never
there
know.
eventually.
Oh yeah, after he got
Slowly
blowed up a
but
bunch
Died
of
a
times.
load.
Yeah, how many times was it? It was 13 or
I didn't-
14.
I didn't
From the
get- I
rockets
didn't realize
alone,
he
I don't
doesn't
even
count.
know.
I lost
I
count
lost
after
count.
11.
Yeah, I threw in 7 for the Deadpool, but I did not get it.
I was still laughing too hard from the cutter glitches.
I didn't notice that.
What
cutter
a
glitches
great
were great.
segment. Oh god,
And
that
like
had me laughing for a good while.
Ram being like, "Where's Cutter? Having a lie down. He's having a cup of tea."
He's gone downstairs pick up a tea. I love that. That was so good. The glitching thing was fantastic.
The rocket part, I got so tense. I was like, just do it. Just finish that part, please, Nolan.
There couldn't have
You're
been a
just taking-
better time for that game to glitch. For that cast
Right?
of characters
Yeah.
to be witnessing that and to have that commentary to go along with it.
Absolutely.
It's
Totally
like
agree.
just end it, please.
I didn't even notice the glitch.
Did you not? How
They
did you
didn't-
not
They
notice it?
they focused on it hard for a good minute. Where
I
Cutter was
noticed it
just
before they focused
yeah
on it.
before they
Like,
even
I
mentioned
was
it.
like,
Cutter was glitching in a
weird.
cutscene. Like he was supposed to be
Yeah.
like holding his binoculars, and he kept being like, "Rah, rah, rah."
yeah.
It's like a mannequin kind of a movement. It's like wait, that's not normal.
You must have been playing the PS3 version.
Possibly. I really liked when like Cutter seems to be a really good driver, like exposition driver in this kind of
Mhm.
story, because like he's got a lot of like you see the statues, you see this, and then Graham's constantly like, well, at least one of us has a brain. Like at least one of us can do all the thinking around here. That was really good.
Uh,
Oh, he's just gold. Please keep him forever.
Yeah, I really hope that they can bring back Graham. for more
He's
episodes.
so good in everything.
The heckling made that episode. I love it that way.
Oh, and you're dead again.
Who made the comment about after Nolan saw the star at the end of the Little Dipper? Who made the comment about it being the moon?
That's the moon.
Oh, that's Graham.
It must have been Graham.
I thought so.
That was, yeah.
Oh, that was a moon.
That had me. I laughed so hard.
I liked when because there was the part where Nolan he was supposed to be stealthing. He's like, let's do this quiet, and then he kept shooting and going loud, and Graham's like, so that's quiet, huh? And then he's like, oh man, I'm exhausted.
No, it was that moment where he was like, "Oh, so this is quiet, huh? Let's just throw a grenade out there."
Throw
and
a
then he throws
grenade.
another one. Oh, let's just throw another one out there. Like, this is quiet. Like, yeah, let's just kill them all quietly.
Quiet.
Throws a grenade. Like,
Let's throw a
And
grenade.
I love that
Those
about
are
Nolan, though,
quiet.
because I feel like he's been doing this since the first playthrough, since Uncharted 1, where the character or someone in the cutscene will be like, okay, let's try and take him out quietly. Let's try and do this quietly. And Nolan's like, nope, guns blazing, like
Nope.
fucking everybody shooting at him and stuff. Yeah, it was just great. Like, even I will refer to it anyway. I think it's 2 weeks ago, and Amy Hennig was like, okay, so it's better to try and do this quietly. And as she said that, he pulled out a gun and shot someone. She's like,
Or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's
Okay.
ignore the writer.
So going back to
die,
something
but also, yeah.
Pagan had mentioned multiple times where she believes that they should turn up the difficulty on the game. Nolan wasn't doing so hot this time.
yeah.
No,
He was
I mean,
struggling.
okay, yes, but Nolan didn't realize about R3 for a while.
But even still,
right,
like
and
in the general
to be fair,
combat
this-
after that, he was having a hard time.
Yeah. This level
Mhm.
is particularly tricky. And it's dark.
A lot of dudes.
Yeah.
So many
There's
guys.
a lot of
I got
deaths.
So
I got
many
lost in
guys.
there.
Yeah. I love that level though. I really enjoyed playing that level once in Syria level.
And
I
then
loved I think it's the beginning of the episode, and Nolan's like, what a lovely night for murder in Syria.
Look at that
I was like,
skyline. Lovely
because
night
he
for
knows
murder.
that everybody's gonna come after him. It's so funny.
Let's paint it red.
Yeah.
I loved how many times we'd have to go back and count how many times Graham or Richard said, how many times do you have to shoot these guys? Because they're just
Yeah,
watching
because
Nolan
some
like,
of them just
unloading into
wouldn't
them.
die.
Especially the
Or
armored
Nolan
dudes.
was just, yeah. I feel like they don't know about the armored dudes because he was trying to melee one of them at one point, and you're like, no, you can't do that. No.
So that's a weird mechanic because they say you can't melee one of them until their helmet comes off.
And then
it's
you
like,
can
melee
oh,
them.
okay,
Yeah,
so
then you
body
can.
armor,
Yeah,
that doesn't matter.
punch straight through it. It's that the shield. It's this
Yeah.
magic force field around their head.
Just any armored enemies like that in a game is
Yeah.
always just a weird mechanic because they're basically just padding an enemy just to make them that much harder to kill. So they're bullet sponges, even though that type of armor shouldn't make it that difficult to kill them. Because even after he knocks their helmet off, you still have to shoot them in the face like 7 times, and they still don't die. It's just those are headshots. You're putting bullets.
Unless
in this
you have a
person's
shotgun.
skull.
The shotgun takes those fuckers out. Like, it just does. If you got the shotgun, that's great. 2 of those or 3 of those would be good. Where like another enemy would just be 1 shotgun shell.
Mhm.
Whereas the armored ones are like 2 or 3. Just
Man,
shotguns.
Just fun video game padding mechanics. Anywho,
Anyway.
loved Graham on that episode. Hopefully he comes back in the future. Any last thoughts before we
Loved
move
him.
on?
I love Graham.
We love Graham.
Graham is just the best.
Graham
I
and
love it.
Richard are
That is Pagan's first
one.
and last thought.
It's like set up punchline every time
Yep.
with that when the Graham is around.
I love Graham. Well then, anyways, we're gonna move on to our new segment called Retro Reply, where we send questions into the cast and crew over at Retro Replay for some answers to our burning replayer questions. And this week we have responses from PJ and Drew again. PJ's question is, who has the darkest humor on set? And Drew's question is, how do you take your coffee and who makes it? So we're going to start with PJ's answer, starting now.
Who has the darkest humor on the set? That's easy to answer. Uncle Noli.
I feel like that was a real
That's it.
obvious one.
Accurate.
Yeah.
That's it.
I mean, Let's face it, because I'm so sure it's happened where Nolan has been riffing off something, and it's been funny as hell, but way too dark to air. And they're like, "That's hilarious. We can't put that in the show."
Isn't
Like,
that the whole
No.
reason they started the Advice from Uncle Noli thing anyway? Is just kind of
Yeah.
let him
Nolan go off.
yeah, yep.
I would
And
say that
honestly, I don't think they should ever look back because that was a great decision.
And,
It's been gold ever since.
we got that last week from Drew's answer that his favorite episodes of the show are becoming like the Uncle Noli's. And
Yeah,
I've been saying it for weeks now too that I love the Uncle Noli's because it's like the best of Nolan condensed down into these little bite-sized pieces.
yeah, for sure.
So no surprise, Uncle Noli has the darkest humor, and I'm sure those are the times when Drew is pissing himself off the set.
Honestly,
See the
I was
camera shake a little
I
bit
was
'cause he's
secretly
laughing too.
hoping it would have been like Stephanie or something,
Oh,
or
man.
Paul or something like that, where like somebody will make a really dark joke and I would be like, "Whoa, buddy!"
Oh,
You know, like I would have loved that. That'd be fun.
Oh, that's easy. It's me.
It's me.
Yeah, but no surprise. No surprise. that
Of
it's Nolan.
course. All right, so moving right on to Drew's answer to his question.
How do you take your coffee, and who makes it on set? Well, Pagan, Dan. I take my coffee black. Nothing special. Unless I go to like a coffee house, then I typically get a flat white with a little cinnamon on top. It's kind of a nice treat. But typically on set, black coffee. It's quick. It's hot. It's wet. It gets the job done. It's caffeinated. And who makes it on set? It kind of depends. I think it's, I make coffee, PJ makes coffee, Stephanie makes. We all kind of make coffee. It's kind of whoever empties it sort of is like, okay, now I got to make coffee. That's just the kind of studio we are. We don't really have a coffee maker person, although that might be nice. Maybe one day we'll have a barista.
I volunteered.
If you could wipe your memory.
Yeah, I volunteer as tribute.
I volunteer. Take me.
I'm loving that he adds like a little touch of cinnamon.
I love that
That's
too.
a nice touch. I like that.
Because I actually like to, once in a great while, I'll brew my coffee with cinnamon in it. Because it just gives a cinnamon flavor to the coffee. And I've done that before too, where I sprinkle a little on.
I still know somebody who's basically a personal trainer, and she had like the most tremendous weight loss transformation. Like, honest to God, this woman is incredible. And she had gone from like, the full fat latte style, whatever. And
Oh,
she
I thought you were
goes, like,
calling
to
her full
Americano.
fat.
No. No, she goes from a latte with full fat milk or whatever.
I was
it
gonna
is,
go
like extra
rude.
Sugar, blah. It's so rude. She went from that to like just a plain Americano with cinnamon.
Mm.
And I was like, why? And she's like, I never liked black coffee. And then she's like, and then I added cinnamon, and it has changed like my life. I will never go back to drinking coffee with milk and stuff because I just feel like this is so much better. It tastes really good. And I was like, I don't really like coffees, but I will bear that in mind.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Just a little sprinkle of cinnamon in the brew actually gives a very good flavor. And
Yes,
cinnamon's good
it
for you
does.
too.
Really good for you.
I used to do I tried doing like a cleanse type thing where you drink like cinnamon and honey hot water kind of thing.
Yes,
Supposed to help
I
like
know
kick
it.
up your metabolism.
I know it. It's actually all right. Just there's
I don't
people
mind
out
it.
there that will do it only that.
Yeah, that's extreme.
Yeah, and it's like lemon juice and I think turmeric.
Like
and
the like hot
chili.
pepper chili, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
And
extreme.
it's like a detox or whatever, but it's like a full day or 2 days of just this liquid, and you're like, don't do that to yourself. Your body needs food.
Yeah. When I did it, it was more of like a cup of tea at night kind of thing. Like I had a cup of this
Yeah.
at night, right before bed or something, just to
That's
have.
fine,
It's like
it's
a hot
tasty.
beverage, just tasty, and it tastes good, and it helps.
It's the same with like milk and honey,
Mm.
milk, honey, and cinnamon. That's like a really good like evening beverage and stuff like that for kids, adults, whatever. Try and help you sleep, and turmeric as well. That helps. He says that the coffee's hot, quick, and wet.
Wet.
Are you kidding me? Like, come
Gets
on,
the job done.
come on, Drew. You lined yourself up for that. Like, I was like, that's what she is. She said. He said about her. I don't know. Like, where can we go with this? It's such a big innuendo. But sure. Hot black coffee. Okay.
That's how I drink it at home. I didn't used to drink black coffee until I started drinking Death Wish.
Ooh, that's
Because
pretty
like
good.
the Folgers and the Maxwell House and stuff like that, it's like you have to add something to it. But Death Wish, I just put a little sugar in it, and it's
See, at least there's
It's
sugar
really
there. I
good.
mean, you didn't even mention sugar. Is it just? Does anybody here drink coffee without sugar in it?
Depends for me if I'm using either sweetened creamer or not.
I don't. I drink my coffee black just because sugar gives me a hard crash on coffee.
Fair.
So
fair.
once I drink black coffee without the sugar, then it's like, okay, it'll perk me up for a bit and then like just drink more cups of coffee if it needs to.
See, I feel like that's a good reason to put cinnamon in it, though, because like cinnamon kind of boosts the metabolism a little bit and makes sure the caffeine doesn't go to waste.
I
Yeah,
haven't
it's a good
tried
idea.
that cinnamon. I'm
Mm.
gonna try that next time when I make coffee this weekend and see how that works. And
You
I have
know,
a lot of cinnamon.
I have a funny story as to
Mm.
why I started putting cinnamon in my coffee. Are you
Go ahead,
are
Dan.
you aware of the show called 2.5 Men?
Oh,
Yes.
absolutely.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
The good
show.
one, the Charlie Sheen one, not the Ashton
Yes.
Kutcher one.
There's an
Yeah,
there's
the original one.
there's an episode of that. I've not watched a lot of that show. I've seen bits and like a few episodes here and there. I happened to catch this one episode where like the woman that was like their maid or house attendant, whatever she was.
Oh yeah, their housekeeper.
Yeah, the housekeeper. She quit. And then like the next day Charlie went to have coffee and he was like, "Why does this taste so bad?" And his brother was like, "Oh, I don't know." Lo and behold, you know, end of the episode, she comes back and the coffee's good again. And he's like, "Oh, but the coffee, it tastes like Christmas again." And he's like, "How do you make it taste like Christmas?" And she's like, "Oh, I just put some cinnamon in it." And I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna try that. That sounds awesome."
Nice.
Mind
See, I
blown.
actually remember that episode.
Oh,
I remember that
there you
episode of yeah. It's a pretty good episode.
Mm.
But yeah, I've had black coffee. I've had black coffee, and I think for the majority of like where we were learning the personal training kind of course or whatever, like it was right next to a Starbucks basically, and so like you
That's-
just go there on your lunch.
That's cruel.
It's really cruel. And there wasn't much. Like there was probably something a little bit further out, but you probably wouldn't be back in time for your break. So we would just be like, okay, well, we'll just go to Starbucks, whatever. And she just always get Americano with cinnamon, and I was like, I should try this. So I did, but I just can't have it without sugar. I just cannot. It is too strong for me.
The people in my area are smart. They put a gym right next to a sporting goods store. So
Wow.
Where
It's
I'm from
genius.
in New York, they generally had like a vitamin shop or GNC next to the gym, like always.
Okay,
we have a
if we're-
GNC in the mall, which makes no sense to me.
if we're talking about this, I have to show you something because in my town,
Oh my!
Oh boy.
yeah, in my town, there is a pub, and right next to the pub is a gun shop,
Hmm.
and right next to that is a creche,
At what?
a
what?
day school,
Okay.
like a creche
Blah.
for kids.
See, now this
Now-
to me sounds like it makes sense in Ireland, but in America would be insane.
That would be,
be
in
insane
America,
in
that would be
America.
absurd.
just
So crazy
so
because
dumb.
we like guns are illegal in Ireland, right? Like they're just things, but these are hunting things. You can get a permit for your farm, etc.
Right.
Like, but you can't have a concealed carry weapon. You can't have a gun. You can't just own one. You need to apply for a license. You need to go through the guards. Like it's a big process.
Mhm.
Hint, hint,
It's
America,
smart.
but I'm fucking bored.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, basically, like, so you couldn't just walk into that gun shop and be like, hey, I want a gun. Like, it wouldn't happen.
Right, of course.
But I just think it is the most hilarious thing ever to have a pub next to a gun shop next to a toddler's day school.
We
It's just
have
like crazy
Yo.
cruel irony.
It's just, I was like, how is this like even me coming
Here's a
from
spoiler alert.
Africa, I
That's a
was like,
scene
this
from
is
The Last of
crazy.
Us 2.
Yeah, it definitely seems like it should be.
Oh.
You're like, why is this a thing?
we
That's
sell
going to be
guns
one
at
of those
hardware
I'm just gonna
books
get a
that
gun
you
and then I'm
read
gonna
and
get a
you're
drink.
like,
There you go. Crazy shit happens all the time. I'm sure I have a photo of it somewhere. It's here in my town.
all
Ah,
right, folks. I
crazy
think we
Wexford.
can wrap up things here. And with that, we're going to give our guests a chance to talk a little bit about themselves, promote anything you've got to promote, or don't. Up to you. Do you want to share your socials where people can find you? This is your time, and I'll start it off with Michael.
I'm on Twitter and Instagram at mptimmons101, and I'm on the PlayStation Network at mptimmons.
Cool.
Sweet.
Anything else
Not
you
really,
got?
not really
What's
working
your?
on anything.
Are you just Michael Timmons on YouTube for the chat, the live
Yeah.
chat?
Okay, cool. So people can keep an eye out for you if they want to say hi.
Yeah.
Yay! Because of this, I might have friends.
Oh,
we are all
now we're
friends
all
now.
friends. We are all friends now. Yeah.
I mean, typically, I keep to myself. I've got, my little family here, and that's, I go to work, I come home. That's pretty much all I
Do
do.
you?
Dude, that is perfectly
There we go.
That actually sounds really nice.
Nice.
As opposed to like people who have multiple projects going on.
Yeah, like I even thought about trying to get into voice acting, which I was planning on
Nice.
doing from home. I've got my laptop. I've got my little closet under the stairs. I've got,
Right, Harry Potter.
But the problem is the website that I go through is like, oh, you need a premium membership to audition. It's like, oh, well, how much is a premium membership? It's $500 a year. It's like,
don't
okay, that doesn't sound like much.
Don't use those.
It's more than I have right now. you know?
Yeah. No, they're kind of not worth it. Those big ones that like charge you super fucking loads. There's loads of free places where you can get like casting auditions and stuff like that as well for smaller projects that you can just build a reel for, and like
that's
once
something
you do it, and
we can definitely talk about like after the show. Me and Pagan can both share some stuff with you
for like game mods and stuff where people do like Far Cry game mods or whatever. Like hit Letitia up. Letitia Lemon is part of the community as well. Hit Letitia up. She gets a lot of game mod stuff. Josie as well. Flores is also part of the community. She does a lot of those kind of game mod stuff as well. And they are so good for building your repertoire and like building a demo, and you can just pop them all together, and then you can start sending them to, you don't even need to send them to agents. You can just send them directly to casting directors or companies that do voiceover stuff near you locally, not locally, New York, Texas, LA, wherever. And just send it and just be like, hey, look, here's my shit. You like it? Great. If not, cool. Because the worst thing they could do is be like, nah, it's not worth my time. But out of the 600 people that you send it to, 10 people might be like, all right, I'll listen to it.
Sign me up.
And you can get a job. Like I sent however many people here in Ireland, and I think 2 people came back to me for specific stuff. And you're like, okay, well, that's great. I've had 2 pickups from 50 demos or whatever. So it's always worth it. Always worth trying.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you, guys.
You're welcome.
There we go.
Emmanuel?
I am on Twitch. My name will be there. Is Depshep. That's DEPSHEP. Nice. I will start streaming on hopefully July 6th. My schedule will be Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Monday will be a Monster Hunter night. Wednesday will be like a wild card. So I will choose a random game on the PlayStation Store and try to beat it.
Cool.
And Friday will be a game called For Honor. And there's an event going on right now. So I will take advantage of playing that on stream.
We have a friend who's playing For Honor, and he's playing that event as well.
Weeks ago. You can also follow me on Instagram at Nameman. That's NAMEMAN. And you can follow me on YouTube at youtube.com/mypal1990.
Cool.
Yay.
And we'll be sure to add all of those in our show notes as well if anyone needs to like proper spelling and everything for each of those usernames.
Awesome.
Cool.
Awesome.
It's interesting that you're going to play some For Honor. And I think it's interesting that you have a hard start date for your Twitch stream. Most people are just like, and go
for it. Yeah.
That's if I did do any streaming. If I did do any streaming, that's what I was going to do. I was going to be like, I have 6 followers already, and I've never streamed anything. So I was going to be like, well, somebody will watch it. I
have.
What? No, you don't. Do you really? You have no followers?
I'm still
we'll change that. We'll change that.
We'll change that.
Yeah, no, if you share a link to your channel in the Replayer group on Facebook, everyone will jump on it.
We'll do. So it's just me trying to get my feet wet into streaming. So it's just one step at a time. And I do have like a couple of commissions coming in for the channel logo. I'm just waiting for a couple of people to get back to me. So once that gets squared away, I can jump in on the 6th.
Just grab by the reins, get your logo, get whatever overlay you're gonna do, and we'll get you there. Don't worry.
Yes,
Replayers
thank
got
you.
you, bro.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We are a super supportive community for everything on that, and you'll get there quick, my friend.
Yeah.
It'll
I
happen.
Thank
became
you
your
so
first
much.
follower.
Yeah.
Does
I
your
feel
account
loved.
exist yet?
Yeah.
Do you have your Twitch account?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why I found Pagan. So
I gotcha.
it's coincidence. Like, whoa, it's Pagan.
So you were
He's a little starstruck right now.
you were following Pagan
Aw.
on her, and like watching her Twitch channel.
Yeah, he came into my Twitch
Ah.
streams.
Nice.
Was having to chat, and I was like, "Hello, Jeff. Nice to meet you. Hello, how are you?" And he's like, "It's Emmanuel from Facebook." I was like, "Oh, that's awesome." Thank you."
Well, that's actually
Whoa.
if you watched last week's
No.
episode of the podcast, we had Patrick on. That's how I met Patrick, because he's a
Same.
replayer who came into my Twitch streams, and we started chatting. And then it was like, oh, it's you from the Facebook, and that's how we started interacting. And now me and him have been streaming together and been helping each other out and supporting each other's streams.
Nice.
And it was almost the same kind of setup, basically.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it's a really supportive community, obviously, and like I think because of COVID, like everyone's kind of at home, and Twitch streaming has really taken off, as well as like Mixer and all sort of other streaming websites and stuff. So yeah, we're all sort of supportive of each other. People are streaming at all times as well, like different time zones and stuff. So there's always someone streaming.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah, man.
There will always be somebody.
Yeah, always be somebody's on live. Yeah, for sure.
All right. So with that, I think it's time for us to wrap up the show. Thank you both so much for coming on and talking with us and letting us
Thanks,
get to know you
guys.
guys a little bit better.
Oh, this has been a blast. I've never done anything like this. So when I saw
You're
the
welcome.
open guest slot, I sent Pagan a message and I was like, hey, I want to do this.
This is so awesome. Thank you so much for like
Hey,
coming
thank
on like
you.
super short minute, like super
Yeah,
short
no,
minute,
it's,
super short
it's
notice.
I mean, I don't do anything on the weekends. I have had nothing planned all day. So it's been nice actually having something to do today.
It's
You're
been
welcome.
really nice having you, man. It's been really good to have you here. And
It's
same,
such a huge
Emmanuel, it's
privilege.
been so nice. Yeah, so nice to have you guys here.
Well, I'm glad it worked out that way because I can say personally, I felt that this was a great, fun chat with you guys, especially because we had a good little bunch of good tangents there.
All the tangents.
Bunch
I
of
love
good
it.
tangents.
We're
Whoa.
at a long and winding road. It's amazing.
I personally appreciate the like ridiculous of going off on like the PS1 tangents and the fighting games. Like it was a
The Barbie
unique
Sports. Don't forget Barbie Sports.
Barbie
Going
Sports.
All
from
right, fine.
Tekken
We'll add
to
that.
Barbie
We'll allow
Sports to
Filling in the Barbie
Yeah.
Sports headliner.
Yeah. Oh,
So again, thank
No,
you
I love
guys
the
so
game.
much. And then just to close us out here, for anyone who is interested in sending us questions for Retro Reply, you can send them over to us at the replayerpodcast@gmail.com. You can tweet it to the Replayer Podcast on Twitter or message the Facebook page of the Replayer Podcast, and we'll be sure to send those in and hopefully get some answers from those guys over there. Lastly, we just like to thank everyone over at Retro Replay, Nolan and Drew and PJ and Paul and Steph, and I try to make sure I don't forget anybody whenever I do that, because without you guys, we would not exist. And thank you, replayers, for coming on and our guest
for
this
coming
week.
on the show.
Ow, finger.
Oh, no.
The table.
Yeah.
Owned.
Oh,
And
man.
we
Oh.
close the show out with Game Over. Good night, folks.
Bam.